So I'm gonna keep this brief because I don't want to make this a long video. I just want to talk about this movie because it surprised me. It was a solid movie. The Lord of the Rings, The War of Rohirrim. I've heard people pronounce it differently. Rohirrim. If I'd butcher that, whatever. I was genuinely surprised. This was one of those discount Tuesdays on a whim showing, and like, I enjoy Lord of the Rings, as most common folk do. Have I read all the extensive lore and knowledge? No. I tried reading The Hobbit when I was like 8, but that was an ordeal. But this thing's not even considered canon within Tolkien's universe. From what I know, it's canon for Peter Jackson's universe. So I guess it's up there in the same realm of The Rings of Power. But I thoroughly enjoyed this a bit more than The Rings of Power. So let's get into it. I'm just gonna go right deep into it. First of all, animation I thought was beautiful. Very anime like style. Warner Brothers. Solid. I don't know the other studios that worked at it. Miramax was a part of it somehow, but I definitely saw some spots though where I was like, oh, I see an animation trick there to shorten time. I definitely saw that, but when the scenes mattered, I felt that's where the budget went, and I appreciate that. I don't necessarily need it to be crisp and clean all the time. Just where it matters, great, right? So we start off the story with Hera, who is our main character, who in the lore of Tolkien apparently never was given a name. But they made a story about pretty much the events of this war. It's packed in history. The story is, from what I looked up, is narrated by Eowyn. From Lord of the Rings. Yeah, she's the one who's like, I am no man. So there's kind of like some significance there. But yeah, it tells a story about Hera, and kind of, I've seen this trope before. She's a great woman who is like hella smart, hella tough, hella strong, and like dudes are like, but you're a woman, so you can't do that. And time again, I got frustrated watching the movie because like she is making all the right decisions. She kills like 2 woolly mammoths by herself. Listen to this woman, Jesus Christ. But no, they don't. Which not many people have talked about this movie, so I haven't heard the whole "this is woke" thing said yet. But I think I did hear some people on the Reddit say that might say she's a Mary Sue. Personally, I don't think so, mainly because it shows that from a young age she was interested in training with the sword and shield, and she rode horses. So like, you can't just say out of nowhere that she all of a sudden had these gifts. No, she they kind of implemented there. And plus, this isn't even a canon story in Tolkien, so like, you had some leeway room how you can actually make this character. I personally thought she was a pretty fleshed out character for the most part. But like, I'm getting too ahead of myself with her arc or whatever. Basically, like I said, I don't know the extensive detail lore of Lord of the Rings. I know from what I know from movies and just side things I've read here and there. Like, I haven't fully gone into the notes and letters and books, so I if any nerd wants to come in the comments and at me, go for it. I encourage it. Educate me, right? But basically what happens is Helm Hammerhand, who I know, and the importance there, he's like in charge of Whiterun. That's basically how it's not Whiterun, but you know what I mean. Basically he's in charge of Whiterun, and dude comes in. It's kind of shady, more or less. He kind of wants to usurp this guy, but he offers his son's hand to Helm's daughter, and the king's not having it. He's like, I'm not doing this. But Wulf is the son of the usurper. He's like, I want it, because I like this girl. We've known each other since childhood. And then Hera's like, nah, I'm good though. I don't want to get married. I want to live a life of fun and adventure, which it's like, like she should be having that choice. Although if we're going into like, I know Lord of the Rings isn't like old, like middle age, but I guess it's kind of based off that. So yeah, I can see how there were customs back then and expectations of women that were like, sexist, but like that was the time then. I mean, it is kind of based on like real, I guess, more relevance of our middle age, but those are stupid. So she should be allowed. She should be allowed to make this choice. She should be allowed to be like, yeah, I'd rather go live my life and do that. But there's rumors that he's gonna go have her married to someone in like Gondor or whatever. I don't know all the names of it. But anyway, so they get challenged. King challenges dude to a duel basically outside. In one punch kills the man, which I'm like, what? Like, he's like, Omura Shinderu, you're dead. You got dead by one chin punch, bro. I mean, there's a reason they call him Hammerhand for a reason, I guess. Just one punch. And then Wolf's all like, you killed my daddy. Wah, I cry when people die. Wah, Hera rejected me. Now I'm gonna spend the rest of my life making you miserable. I'm like, in all honesty, I think it was a fair duel. And Helm didn't even punch first. He got hit. He gave him a free shot basically, but three free shots. One punch. They, like I said, they call her Helm Hammerhand for a reason. Punched the dude and killed him in one hit. That is insane. Wolf goes off. He's all like, I'm gonna go basically make, your life miserable. And and at this point, like I said, Hera's doing her own thing. She's with her cousin and her like, yeah, her entourage, I guess. But like they get attacked by, like I said, they get attacked by a woolly mammoth, and then she single-handedly like pretty much kills it. Like she, gets this water biolante creature to eat it, and she's a genius. She's like a genius in combat. Like, but she gets kidnapped by Wulf's gang, and then they go to Isengard, I believe. And I was like, oh my god, the tower! Yeah, that's the tower. We know that from, right? The Lord of the Rings, right? Cool. Shove the nostalgia down your face. And this is one, like you said, Wulf is a twerp. I'm gonna say this guy was a twerp. Basically, he was like, you can marry me, and this could all be over. And she's like, I guess I'll marry you. He's like, no, I don't want you to guess. You need to actually want to marry me. And like in rage, he like cuts her face because he's like so angry with her, and he's like gonna kill her just because you didn't marry. This man was petty and stupid. This man was petty, and he was a sad, strange little man. All because, oh, Helm killed your daddy, and his daughter didn't want to marry you. Wah. That's how I felt the whole movie. Little wuss, the whole movie. But she gets rescued. They bust out. The guy gets his arm chopped off. They go warn the king, right? But the king is like stubborn. He's stupid. He's like, I'm not gonna listen to you, y'all. You make some points, Hera, but I'm not gonna listen to you. And then Hera's like cousin or whatever doesn't listen to him either. He's like, we should go, get help from, He's like, no, I'm not gonna swallow my pride to answer for help. So like, whenever the other higher ups like, I'll help you. Turns out that didn't help either. He betrayed him. And so like, I don't know the significance of this spot. Like I said, if it's anything like Whiterun geographically, I'm assuming it is. Like I said, I don't know the whole geographical placements of, Lord of the Rings and, Middle Earth, right? But if it's anything like Whiterun, I'm assuming whoever controls that spot, it's a crucial spot to control. It's probably like just like in the center of everything, and it's a good spot to control. And it's probably a place where like you don't want too much control, but you don't want too much freedom there. And I'm assuming that's why the king doesn't want to get anyone bigger involved. That's like people from Gondor or whatever. That's my assumption. Like I said, nerds, educate me, right? So anyways, they get betrayed. Hera figures out, she evacuates, and like I said, she killed another like woolly mammoth elephant beast. This woman is, I don't know what she's on, but I'd love to have some. You know what I mean? She is just all that in a bag of chips, right? Her brothers get, and then her dad, Hammerhand, he's like on the brink of death in a moment where his son gets like executed in front of them, which like I said, Wulf is his secondhand man is like, you shouldn't do this, and he's like, no, I'm gonna do it. And the king like is trying to kill him while he's on the brink of death. He's like on his deathbed and he's like trying to heal up, right? They got no supplies. There's this old hag lady like saying there's a curse here or something like that. She's a funny little character, right? And Wulf is like, we're gonna storm the gates here. We're gonna storm the gates of this giant stone stronghold. Even if it takes us all winter. And his right hand man's like, that's crazy, sir. We can't do that. Everyone's gonna die. He's like, I don't care. I want vengeance. Because when she didn't marry me, when my daddy got killed by one punch. At this point, like, people are dying on both sides, and then there's a rumor that like Helm is like, he's a ghost killing people in the night because he somehow disappears from his deathbed. We don't know what happens to him. Anyways, Hera finds a secret tunnel. She finds some orcs looking for some rings. They gotta throw us that crumb. And at this point, like, Helm comes out of nowhere and beats the crap out of like these orcs, and this giant troll, I don't know what he was on. Like, he was on the brink of death, and he was almost like stronger than he was before he was dying. I don't know. Was it like a Super Saiyan type situation where, the closer he is to death and reheals, he gets stronger, right? Like, is that how it works? So yeah, they find a secret passage to outside of the thing, and then they try to, but it gets closed up, so they got to run back to the gate, and Wulf sees them and he's gonna attack them. Hera gets inside the gate. They can't open it fully because it's frozen, and at this point, Hammerhand, he defends the gate by himself, like with his bare fist. And it's the craziest thing. Like, the whole movie, I'm like, this is getting interesting. It's funny, I was with some peeps, and one of them said, I'm a bit tired, and said I might fall asleep during this movie. They did not fall asleep during this movie. Like, I was quite captivated. So yeah, I guess says a lot for the movie, right? But then he's like, Helm Hammerhand, and the narrator's like, he died, like, they found him the next day frozen, fighting at the gates. And it just shows an image of him like holding his hammer high, which, this is my only nitpick of the movie. At no point did I see that he had his hammer with him. Maybe I missed that. The whole time he's fighting with his fist, so I don't see how he had his hammer with him. the whole time, unless someone threw it at him, or maybe he had it in his, back pocket. I don't know, but he dies frozen with his hammers, and so they bury him. At this point, they're like, well, what do we do now? Like, yeah, but Wulf is still on the warpath to take it away, and his mercenaries are getting restless, and he lied to them saying there's gold in there, and then his second-hand man's like, there's not gold in there. He's like, well, they don't know that, so he's just trying to get his revenge and kill he's like, what's the point of seizing it? The king's dead. He's like, well, I gotta get the daughter too. Like, man, this man's he's a twerp. Anyways, so they're like, well, what can we do now? And so she goes up to the great eagle, fly you fools, right? Basically, I need your help. Help me with something, right? So the eagle, she convinces the eagle to take the armor, and her dad's armor, right, to her cousin, who the king banished because he was stupid and didn't listen to him, gives him the armor, and they're gonna, I guess, help later, right? And they evacuate the people, and when the winter's pretty much said and done, and many people died. But then the Wulf's crew, they built the seizing tower. They drop it down, which for some reason when they drop it down, there's a guy playing drums on the top, and I know that's tradition to let the drummer die when they land the bridge. So sure, whatever. And then they go charging, but then Hera's like, you know what? 1-on-1, face me, Wulf, mano y mano. His right hand man's like, don't take the bait. He takes the bait, fights him. She's obviously a better fighter than him, and he knows this, but he's on this weird ego trip. He's like, you gave me a cut on my eye when we were a kid. Mwah. So they fight, and also she's fighting in a wedding dress, by the way. I don't know how she's not cold. And in fact, there's a scene where Helm's fighting in sleeveless shirts in the winter. How are they not cold? I guess they're just that resilient of people. So they fight, she wins, and she's like, okay, I won. You said you would let my people go. And he's like, nope, you lose. Meh. But at that moment, it's like, okay, they're storming the stronghold, and then in the distance they see basically Helm's armor in the moonlight, and they think it's his ghost again, because they thought his ghost was there before, making some kind of disease, killing people. I don't know. So they all get freaked out, saying like, oh, I ain't messing with this. We ain't messing with ghosts. He's a ring wraith or something like at this point. So they all run away and coward, and her cousin helps them free the peoples, and then Wulf's like, you were my downfall. He falls to his knee. He's about to surrender, but one last attempt. He tries to kill her. I don't know if he missed on purpose or he fully missed, but she bashes him with a shield in the neck, and he dies like a loser, like his dad. And then at that point, she's like, well, she says this before, but she goes like, this fortress, this stronghold, the Hornburg, this is now known as Helm's Deep, yeah, let's go. And I'm like, yeah, I recognize that name. Woo, yeah. It is not said no foe has ever taken the Hornburg if men defeated it, Helm's hammer will blow his horn once again, whatever, all those Lord of the Rings stuff, the Battle of Helm's Deep. We all know that, right? And I was like, yeah, that's Helm's Deep. Let's go. Woo, my crumbs. Yeah. And then, she gives mercy to his mercenaries, and they go home to their families. Then they go back to rebuild Whiterun. It's all happy ending. This little character, I can't remember his name, but I love his character. He's like announcing people's name. The cousin becomes the new king, and then we get the Christopher Lee crumb. Yeah, Sauron's there. Yeah, he's gonna be the ruler of the tower or whatever. Woo, he's a good guy at this point. I don't know. Yeah, we get the crumb of Christopher Lee. R.I.P. Rest in peace, Chris. One last thing. Hera gets called to go do a task, and her cousin's like, you should have been king. She's like, that's not my role. Which, here are my opinions on that. I agree. I don't think she wants that role. She doesn't want that job, but I think it would have been nice if she became the king. I think it would have set a good, women in power, and maybe inspired, others. But hey, that was her choice. She had a much bigger role to play, I guess, because she got a task to go tell some wizard about rings that the orc are talking about, which, I guess is, like I said, this is probably just the crumb, but who's this wizard's name? Oh, he goes by many names, but in common tongue, he is Gandalf, and it's like, oh my god, the crumb, and then that's when the movie ends, and beautiful cinematics and all that fine jazz, right? So yeah, that was the movie. But overall, I simplified a lot of that, but this movie was 2 hours. It felt very long, but very short at the same time. It was a 2-hour movie, and overall I think it was a good movie. It was a solid movie, probably in my top 10 movies this year. And it would be nice to see more things like that. Animation, I'm a big fan of animation. I think it's one of the best medias out there to make anything with. First of all, I don't know if they're cheaper to make, but I don't feel like you need to worry about putting crazy actors who, sometimes don't even add more to the story. But there's just something, when I think about animation, I'm not thinking about the actors themselves. I'm thinking about the beauty of the animation and the story. And I think that's why I like animation a bit more personally, because I feel like sometimes with live action, you pay too much for an actor, and that's like you're putting all your beans in that bag, I guess. But like I said, good story. Probably one of the better Lord of the Rings things I've seen recently. Not that I hated Rings of Power, but so yeah, I recommend you go give it a watch if you have some free time. Go for it. It was a good movie. That's about it. Juice out.